In accordance with our laws, the firstborn of each of the great leaders must prove their worth. Merida, stop! A lady enjoys elegant pursuits.
Damn, it took Pixar to make Disney stop killing mamas, man. You know what I mean? This is a groundbreaking movie for Disney.
For that one reason.
And especially for Pixar, because this is a movie that's not only centered on a heroine, but I think it's the first movie that features a female heroine of theirs.
Yeah, well, it's the first
Pixar?
animated film I've ever seen that the two primary characters are a woman and her mom going on an adventure together. I can't think of any other examples.
Bambi and Dumbo? No, wait, Dumbo was used.
But it didn't really go into the whole relationship, but they went through the whole adventure. See, Disney has this whole thing of making, you have a king and the mom's either gone. Well, it's mostly in fairy tales.
Yeah, don't blame Disney for that. Yeah, you blame the Brothers Grimm.
No, see, Disney could have corrected that shit, but you know they did.
Yeah, then you had all the historians. That ain't right. That's not the way it is.
It's not like they can't rewrite shit or like they've never done that before.
But this is like Pixar wanted to make a fairy tale, and this is what. It's funny you should say that because that's what they said. They wanted to make a fairy tale in the vein of the Brothers Grimm, but instead of using as we're used to seeing either a male that's in the lead role or a princess that's is kind of helpless. This features a very strong central character, and as Cyrus says, a central female character. And as Cyrus says, it's even more significant that it's centered on the relationship between her and her mother, and makes this progressive message.
And more importantly,
yes, sir?
The message that you get is don't fuck with pissed off redhead chicks.
Oh, really?
I mean, that's a lesson everyone should learn and know for sure.
I'm sorry. I thought the message was don't spike your mom's drinks.
Yeah, I was going to say. I thought she started out as like that strong redhead girl, but I was like, the more I was like, you know what? She's just a fucking brat.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. I mean, honestly, this movie should have been called Bratz Part 2.
Brave.
Because,
not Brave.
Yeah.
Call it Brat.
I don't know, man. Like, ultimately, it is about showing that she totally got her way. You know?
Right.
So it's like, don't fuck with angry redhead.
Yeah, you know what? There you go.
What's going to happen? Some really inconvenient, lame shit to you if you fuck with it.
Leon, you bring this up that she's a brat. I kind of see her point. This character that we're talking about is Princess Merida. Now, what would you say the background is? Is this like Scottish Celtic?
Yeah, very Scottish.
Yeah, you know.
There's not even any leeway.
I just want to make sure because you know.
Did you think it was African or something? Like, oh, this is like clearly Norwegian.
I thought
it's Alaska.
Black Irish.
No.
I thought it was Mexico. So, you know, that's why I'm asking because I get shit wrong. You know, my geography, my history. Well, I'm stupid. So, you know, so I just want to make sure they run around dresses and shit. I thought I knew, but anyway, the Princess Merida, her father, who's voiced by Billy Connolly, is, you know, he's kind of cool with his daughter doing whatever she wants to do. He's like, hey, you know, she's a tomboy.
His father's daughter.
Yeah, whatever.
Neglectful father. Yeah.
But it's the mother who's voiced by Emma Thompson, Queen Eleanor, who's saying, you know, usually the father says, hey, we're going to marry you off to a fine young man. But she's the one that says, you have to keep tradition. We're going to marry you off to one of these three other kingdoms because we all have this truce, and your relationship with one of their sons that truce relies on you marrying them. But she's like, fuck that. You know, I don't want to be, what if I don't like these guys? Let me do me. You know?
I blame you. Stubbornness. It's entirely from your side of the family.
I take it the talk didn't go too well then.
I don't know what to do.
Speak to her, dear.
I do speak to her. She just doesn't listen.
Come on now. Pretend I'm Merida. Speak to me. What would you say?
I can't do this.
Sure you can. There. That's my queen. Right, here we go. I don't want to get married. I want to stay single and let my hair flow in the wind as I ride through the glen, firing arrows into the sunset.
Let me do what I want to do, despite the fact that it's going to cause a civil war.
Or maybe the system, the way it is wrong and fucked up.
Thank you, Cyrus.
You're right. It takes a 15-year-old girl to figure that out when nobody else can.
Dude, it's a Pixar film.
yeah,
What in the hell is wrong with you?
But you know
Seriously?
what? I was like, is this the beginning of that whole Nickelodeon thing? This is where kids rule, because I'm like, yeah, you're a 14-year-old kid. Shut the fuck up. You're gonna start a
honestly,
war.
yes,
all
but
right?
you're
As
once
much
again,
as this
you're
looks
watching-
like much as it looks like a Pixar movie, it didn't feel like one.
No,
the writing,
it didn't.
It was just like, wow. Their movies are usually very complex
Well,
and touching. This was just so simple.
Well, let
And
me-
I was just like,
you-
wow. I feel like I've watched this movie before.
Well, let me finish telling the plier, because what you mentioned something important.
Okay.
Is you think she's a brat? Before I continue, I do want to say, I'm glad you went around doing the civil rights march, because
Yeah,
you would
seriously.
have been that guy talking about, man, you know what? This is causing trouble. Why don't y'all sit y'all's black asses down and just be quiet? Just do what they're saying. And then we'll stay peaceful.
I would have stayed dry and without dog bites.
See, I'm glad you can at least admit it. No, but she gets upset, has an argument with her mother, runs off into the woods. There's a witch that pops up out of nowhere, and witch is like, "Hey, what's wrong?" And she's like, "Oh, my mom's a bitch. Can you give me something to change her mind?" And the witch gives her this potion where when she goes back to the house, she spikes her mom's drink, thinking it's just going to simply help her change her mind about her decision. No, it turns into a fucking bear. It doesn't. It doesn't help that it's in a land where every kingdom, that's what they do. They
hate bears.
They hunt
do
bears
not like
down.
bears. Yeah. And you know what? It did, like, come on. You go to the witch, everything this witch has in her house has got bears on it. Like, everything. I mean, the toilet, like, seat, I'm sure has got a big bear head on it. You're like, all
got a
right.
bear dildo.
I sense there might be a theme here, and this could extend into the spell. Don't act so surprised when your mom Grizzly's out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this kingdom, and she, as I say, well, shit, my dad just wakes up in the morning ripping heads off teddy bears. I can't let anybody see my mom. And of course, you could probably tell that there has to be some sort of, she has to reconcile with her mother in some kind of way if she's ever to get her back to her human form.
Within the time limit.
Yes, or else she's going to, like, really, as you say,
She's going to be bared out for
yeah,
good.
she is. She's going to turn into a bear.
Yeah, you're
There's
really
even
digging
moments
this,
where
right? You were really digging this, right?
Oh, I love this movie. I thought it was great.
Yeah, no, yeah, and you're right. I mean, that's and that was one of the cool things about the movie, that I did like, that there was a certain time limit that she had to get her mother back into human form. Because there are moments when her mother's looking at her and she's like, "Oh, that's my daughter." You know, she's like, "Hey, mom, wait a minute, hold on, I'm your daughter, but you're bearing out."
But what was making me laugh was the whole time she wasn't even like, "Oh, mom, I really fucked up." She was just like, "Ah, mom, why you gotta be a bear? Stop being a bear."
Could you just cut that off?
You know what? If you hadn't been trying to force me to do something, this never would have happened. I blame you. You brought this shit on yourself.
She was still acting like a bitch after turning her poor goddamn mom, who really didn't do anything.
Didn't do anything.
Who practically just
What,
came
she
out to
didn't
her.
do anything?
No, she didn't.
Hey, she's
She
her
did
mom.
not.
She told her what to do.
Yeah, she practically came out and apologized to her before she got her shit spiked. Where I'm like, what a fucking cunt this chick is.
Yeah, I think you'd
this
feel
is- this is what-
differently if
this
when
is
you
what
were
Disney
17.
wants people to idolize.
I think you'd feel differently if when you were 17, your dads had told you, "Hey, guess what? You got to marry this girl we set up for you." And
No,
that's
my
it.
dad
You
gives
argue with
two
me,
fucks about
I'll
me.
Beat your ass. No, you wouldn't have taken that shit. So why is it any different if it's a girl in this position?
Because I live in a culture where that's not the thing to do, whereas she lives in a culture where that is what you do.
but that doesn't make it right.
Exactly. You
Well,
know,
no.
Sometimes you just gotta stand up.
You don't get to say that's our culture. But you don't get to
that
say that's
doesn't
whether that's right or
make it
not.
right. Sure you do.
No, you don't. That's,
Absolutely
that's,
you do.
That's
Because
Leon, you don't get to
cultures
say whether that's right.
change.
That makes it not what we do.
Leon, because
That's making it not
cultures
right.
change for the better over time, and this is a movie about culture changing for the better.
Except it's
that's
really
what
not.
it's about.
No, it's not
It
about
totally
that. No,
is.
it's about her being selfish and wanting to change for
Yeah,
herself.
that's what you see. That's not what I see.
You see that
That's
too?
what I saw.
I saw, oh my God, I never thought this. I see what you're saying, Cyrus. This is it. The story of the person who stood up to make change. You know, she
Turning her mom into a bear?
Yeah.
but she didn't do it on purpose. She didn't do it.
She's still
No. She did do it on
Yeah,
purpose.
she did it on purpose.
She didn't know it was going to
She
change
didn't
her mom
know
to a
she
bear.
changed her to a
She knew
bear.
something
She
was
thought
going
about
to
her
happen.
mom's drink
She said-
with a potion she got from a fucking witch.
She is a-
just met that afternoon.
She's
Exactly.
a teenager.
She made a mistake.
And almost all these movies start off with someone making a mistake and then
Yeah.
ending up learning how to fix it and learning a moral lesson. It's
Even
what
if she
happens.
no. But the thing is, even though she made a mistake, but her reaction to making that mistake wasn't a big deal.
It wasn't. That was
At
that
all.
was.
I don't
Because I was
agree.
with you guys at first. Like,
all.
okay, she made a mistake, but yeah, she didn't even seem that sorry.
I
mean,
don't agree at all.
know about
She
that.
seemed like she was panicking the whole time.
No, she was panicking as it kept going when she was like, oh wow, I guess maybe I did kind of fuck
Leon,
up. But for the most of it, she was just like,
No, you're right. You're
Can
right,
I-
Leon.
can I
I'm with
see,
you.
Mom,
Yeah.
you made
not
this happen.
Let me ask you something, Leon. First of all, so she turned her mother into a bear. Anybody could have done that. Okay, I mean, come on.
It happened to me.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I just gave her Flintstone chewable vitamins.
I turned my mom into a pig one time. I mean, come on, man. It was an
That shit
accident.
happens all the time.
I was 15.
You
Come
fix
on.
that shit. What's
Yeah.
the big deal? No reason to get all aggro
Yeah,
about
I didn't know
it.
what I was doing, but I you know, and this is interesting. This really is, because I love this. Like, you guys totally see something different than what Cyrus and I saw, because I'm with him. I did not really see her being selfish. I saw her being panicked, but I saw her being panicked in a way that a 17-year-old girl would probably do. But that's interesting that you guys saw her as a selfish bitch.
I did.
She
I really
really
did.
was.
No, that's interesting. It
Yeah.
really is.
Because I just, I see, like, especially showing her personality, the type of person she was. What's wrong with her being really like, no, I won't accept that. I don't have that problem with believing that in the context of this film at all. And ultimately, it's about her learning a lesson that, like, both her and her mom learning a lesson. Yeah, this isn't right, but there also has to be compromise. There has to be a path towards change. And that's really what this movie is kind of about, is compromising with your parents, that both parties have to learn to be able to communicate. The parents aren't always automatically right. And that's what I got from this.
You know what? And I tell you what's so cool about everybody having a different perception. It goes to prove that this is Pixar's. This is more complicated for. I'm not complicated, but more complex for a Pixar movie. It's definitely. It's still a kids, or not a kids movie. It's still a family movie, but it's definitely a little. It's a little darker, and it's a little more grown up, a little more mature. I mean, there's scarier scenes. I mean, shit, there's even scenes where cartoon characters are showing their ass as they're walking away, you know. But as complex as I'm saying this movie is, I think it suffered from being a little too complex. There's so many themes and ideas that go into this movie that they're trying to cram into such a short period of time.
No little kid going to see this is going to really understand it at all. I mean, a lot of the kids were, especially behind us, were just not interested, because you know what? I wasn't interested. There wasn't enough going on to me to even find this story remotely interesting for it to even be a Pixar movie, where it felt kind of aimless at first. I mean, it didn't really get into the whole idea of what the story was really about, which was, about her changing her mom, like changing her mom into a bear, only to learn a lesson, to where you don't get that, it seemed like, to halfway through the movie. Because I'm like, okay, I understand. This girl, she wants to be independent. She wants to be, sure, I've seen that a billion times. That's great. But I've seen this story done far more better in other movies that made it interesting, and especially if you're dealing with animation, making it, making it visually striking, to where this felt so generic to me. It felt like a really generic type of plot. And I mean, there was never a moment where I really felt for the character, because for me, immediately, just trying to understand what this girl was about, where the story was going, once it got there, she just became uninteresting to me, and she became completely unlikable.
Yeah, she was more interesting when it first started, because I saw the potential in her, and yet the longer it went on, I felt like you. It felt really generic to me. I was kind of surprised. I was like, wow, there's no bit of dialogue that's making me laugh or I find sparkling. There's nothing happening that's surprising me. I was like, all right, I feel like I just saw these characters in How to Train Your Dragon, except that was much better. Mm-hmm. I saw this plot change happen in Brother Bear, which wasn't that great itself, and they aren't doing anything special with it.
And yet Brother Bear was more interesting than this, I think.
Yeah, it was. And her changing her mom, it's not just that she changed her mom into a bear. It's not so much that, like, she didn't react to, like, panicking about that, but it's like, her mom is a bear, and all these people in this village want to do is kill bears. Her father wants nothing more than to kill a bear. She has put her mother in grave danger, and I felt her reaction didn't meet that. I was like, this is a lot more serious than this whole movie is playing it out. It's just kind of being jokey and acting like it wasn't that big of a deal, and it's just like, all right, I guess if you guys aren't going to panic about it, I shouldn't either.
I didn't get that at all. I thought she was totally in panic mode. I mean, she knows they're going to kill her mom from the get-go.
Yeah,
and
she knows it,
she's
but
panicking all the way through, but she's also a very competent young lady in a lot of ways. There's one thing she's good at, it's being kind of a tomboy. She knows how to handle all this stuff. She knows what berries in the woods you can eat and what you can't. She knows how to catch fish out of a stream with a bow and arrow. She's an outdoorsy chick.
But she
right?
didn't know to take shit from a
she's not
witch?
Huh? Well,
But she
no,
didn't know to take
because
shit
she'd never
from a
even
witch.
seen a witch before.
She knew that was a witch. I mean, the broom is moving all by itself.
But I said she'd never seen one before that. How the fuck does she know?
But she's aware of what a witch is.
Well, you think she?
To a certain
you think she doesn't recognize sorcery?
Well, you guys are willing to fill in the gaps on Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, but not here with that.
I never filled in any gaps. I said I saw the movie's gaps in this
and I wasn't bored in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Well, I wasn't bored here. I really enjoyed the animation style, which I thought was more naturalistic than you usually expect from Pixar, but absolutely gorgeous. A lot of the stuff they did, in fact, with the girl's hair was just kind of like, wow, I couldn't take my eyes off what they were doing with it. I thought it managed to get a lot of well, there's that. They managed to get a lot of humor, especially out of her three little brothers, who I thought were really funny, but if anything, should have been in the movie more. I mean, if there's a weakness this film, it's that it's a little uneven with comedy to drama, that there's more drama than there is comedy. It makes it a little confusing about what style of movie you're watching. I didn't think the plot was generic at all. I thought it was, like I said before, it's a mom and her daughter coming to terms. We never see that in these movies. And I thought the way they made it work really did work. You are concerned about these scenes where the mom starts to bear out. You're like, Jesus, that's actually kind of frightening. I mean, I don't know about you, but fucking bears scare the shit out of me. And I thought the bears in here were genuinely scary. I mean, I had a sense of real tension all the way through this movie, and I really liked this girl. I believed in her, the reason she was so furious. I mean, why wouldn't she be furious? I would have been furious regardless of what period of time it was, especially if I had that kind of personality. I thought she was totally justified in feeling the way she did. And ultimately, it's about compromising, which is, kind of something I believe in pretty strongly. It's like two people have extreme opinions. Hey, you got to meet somewhere in the middle. And that's what I thought this movie had a really clever way of coming to that. And that's not a message you usually see in animated films either.
I don't want to spend this whole thing challenging you, but I don't even see where she compromised.
Well, I can't say it without explaining the ending.
But
I mean, the thing is, you're right. I mean, I don't see the movie itself is pretty to look at. It's done by Pixar. Sure, they can make a turd look pretty. I mean, but the thing is that watching it though, it just felt so uninspired. I mean, it really did feel like this is a story that you put at the bottom of the pile of stories you would have, to make it interesting for kids, number one, but just a competent story, because when I think of Pixar, I think about great stories like Toy Story and Finding Nemo, and like just you can say, look, these are solid structured stories with a lot of character, just a lot of heart to it. To where there's moments where it just felt mean-spirited in a way. And I think the problem with with this too is that, it's still a Pixar movie, so they have to throw in the comedy, but the comedy just kind of felt like, it's like kind of just visual gags.
That's exactly what it was, because that's what I'm saying. I felt like the movie has so many ideas going on. I mean, really, there are. There's the story of the girl. There's a story of of the other kingdoms. There's a bear attack, when they're trying to get this bear a big backstory with some legends that go on behind him, and all these things are trying to be fit into this movie, which really should be centered more on this character. And because they have all that, I think they sacrifice a lot of other character development for the sake of, as you say, just doing a lot of visual gags, a lot of physical comedy that really any animator can just routinely think up at any moment. They're not, as you said, they're not very inspired visual gags either. Some of them are funny, some of them are cute, but none of them
don't all work.
No, they don't all work, and none of them are really all laugh out loud funny. I think that as the movie progresses, they really start to shave away a lot of those ideas, and as they center on the mother and the daughter story, that's where the emotion really starts to kick in. It's really when they take out a lot of the stuff with the father and all of the other kings, even though they're funny, like Craig Ferguson does the Braveheart looking guy, King Macintosh, who comes in, and every one of them has an interesting visual design and one or two jokes that works for them in their personalities. But really, when they're taken out of the movie, as much as I might like their visual design and some of their jokes, when they're taken out of the movie becomes less diluted, and I feel like I'm getting a real story there. But one thing I agree with you on, Cyrus, is that the reason why that second half kicks off so much, besides just centering on a strong story and two main characters that should have been centered on in the first place more, is those three little badass boys, man. What's in
Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mick Huey, Mick Louie,
Mick Dewey, and Mick Louie. But Princess Mary, what's her name? Merida. she has 3 little brothers, and that through every scene they in, they're just doing something. They're just tearing up shit. They're doing something mischievous, and there's something that
I
happens.
was waiting for Donald Duck to come out and start yelling at him. You know?
Oh, Popeye.
But there's something that happens to them in the third act of the film that is hilarious, and it's funny because they're not given as much to do. Like, they're a little more restrained, but they're funnier than they were when they were in their human form. But when you say that this girl, you find her bitchy and selfish, that's where I didn't see the same thing that you did. I actually thought that character, she was I understood why she was upset. I totally understood. And I didn't think she was a brat at all. I thought that she was an assistant that she thought sucked, and she was in a position she didn't want to be in. And she just said, fuck it. I'm not the one. Okay. I'm going to change this.
That's what interesting stories are made of, is someone stuck in a bad system and saying, fuck this is bullshit. And I refuse to stick by it. I demand change. And I don't really see what the problem is. Was it that it was a woman? I mean, but
Come on now. That's under the belt.
Because I don't really see the difference between this. I don't really see the difference between this and hundreds of other stories like it in that sense.
I didn't have a problem with her
because she was lesbian. That's why, right? You son of a bitch.
Yeah, I get that why she was mad about it and all, but there comes that point. What happened at the point where she spikes her mother's drink, and then it's still like not taking responsibility. Like man, this is oh shit, I fucked up. She was still like, well, I needed you to change, and this is what I had to do. Sorry. That sounds kind of like, you know what? I am not with this girl anymore.
Because I could have bought this so-called compromise if that was just written better. For me, it was the only fault of it is that it was poorly written. Just because it seemed like as soon as the mother turned into a bear, that was another joke.
Yeah, it was like a joke.
That became a joke. That became another reason so they can like work on their animation and make the bear look funny, do funny things. Let's have this bear try to act like people.
Well, only because that's the bulk of the movie, and the bear is people. It's got the mom's mind in it. It's like what do you want him to do? To be dour and depressed and angry the whole movie?
I actually found
I wanted a sense of tension. And I
totally got that.
I did not.
Because she kept temporarily reverting.
The way it was a potentially very dangerous situation that they kept playing for laughs, and I never felt a sense of tension. And even when it was like, oh, something could happen, I'm like, I've seen enough of this movie.
Well, come on, it was meant to be played for laughs. I think I can now. See, I can compromise with you if you were willing to work with me,
okay,
brother. I'm just saying that I can see why you probably felt like there was no sense of tension, because that's exactly what I'm saying. It didn't come till later on in the movie. I think they meant to play it up for laughs. And I think it's actually brilliant that they took this beautiful queen, because I didn't know anything about this movie. And and when she turned into a bear, well, I thought, well, wow, this movie is really muddled, but at the same time I was like, that is a surprise. And I thought it was cool they took this woman and changed her into a bear. I thought they handled it well by keeping her personality within that bear, but at the same time the tension probably didn't come in till later for you, because a lot of this movie is spent not only with this bear, but a lot of the humor in this movie is just characters running into stuff.
Yeah.
Knocking over stuff, running into things. And that's
running
what
away from things.
Yeah, just kind of that's what I meant by kind of almost lazy physical humor in here.
Yes,
thank you.
You're getting it. Yes, you're learning.
Now you understand.
But still, I would just like to say that you're still full of shit, though. So I would no. I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Opinion.
I'm kidding. I see everybody's point here.
I mean, Cyrus, I see your point too. When you explain it to me, I understand it and I get it, but at least how they presented it to me, I didn't really see that. I don't really want to see that in a goddamn Pixar movie. I mean, there's things about with it being a Pixar movie where I'm like, I shouldn't try to think about this as far as trying to figure out a way how they could have fixed that, because Pixar is smarter than I am. They've done stories that have like enlightened me to where, they make a story, something simple, really creative, really clever, to where a kid can get it, where a child can get it, why I think a lot of those movies are just fucking magic sometimes, because, they speak to both, children and adults. And this movie just didn't. I think this movie didn't know really its audience.
I felt like it was just written for a younger audience. Okay, I get what you're saying. And it's not like I never understood it, but something that co-host brought up, why it didn't work for me was the writing, and rather the lack of Merida really being more explicit about why she felt the way she did, and the mom not being more explicit about, no, this is why I'm telling you need to do this. They just kind of throw it at you like a soundbite and then don't delve into it. So it just felt like, Corey, you saying complex, and to me that was the biggest problem. It's like it felt just not complex at all and just completely predictable.
Well, when I say complex, I mean just like I said, just maybe I think they were attempting to tell a more complex story, but it didn't come across that way. Like I said, it just came out a little jumbled.
Okay. I mean, it's jumbled, but just not delving into anything enough, and things at times when I thought it should have been more serious, it was playing things for laughs. So I just didn't have a big investment, and I was like, there was never a point when I didn't think everything was going to work out perfectly in the end, and it did.
See, I wish I could understand what you're saying, but I felt the opposite on that term. I thought its strongest point was its sense of heart, and that I did feel tension all the way through. I thought it nailed that. Absolutely. I mean, I don't even understand what you're saying with saying you didn't understand the situation from the get-go between the girl and her mom. I thought they explained it perfectly clearly on both sides of it.
With just a soundbite, but there should have been more to it, to where I didn't feel like, I shouldn't have felt like she was bratty.
But the one thing I do agree with you guys on is the humor, that it needed more, quite frankly, and more inventive humor. The jokes that are in there, they are largely visual sight gags. They don't find much room inside of the script for organic character-based humor, except for the stuff that is with the mom and the bear's skin, which I personally thought that stuff was some of the best jokes in the movie. I thought that was really funny, and it did work for me. I just can't go with you on the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
This could have been a really great Pixar film, but as it is I thought it was just a damn good one.
Yeah, I'd say I'm disappointed, because with that theme of this mother-daughter relationship, I wish it could have been a stronger film. And it's funny, because I agree more with you, Cyrus, with probably having an equal number of problems as Leon Yu and co-host. I just overall, I think it's a movie.
You're the great equalizer.
Hey, it's all about compromise.
Hey, you better quit before I make you and Leon argue with each other. We'll have another, because I want it now. I want another lockout review.
Believe me, I know that if you knew the right thing to say to set us off against each other, you would have said it.
I've been thinking too.
Get that out of the way, because he's gonna find a way to edit it in anyway. Are you ready? All right, ready? Man, why don't you go fuck yourself, Leon?
Your opinions are stupid anyway. I don't know why I would listen.
Oh, that is it. This shit is on now. I can't believe you never have any good opinions.
Hey,
you or co-host.
I really am hungry for Taco Bell right now.
I need that Dorito taco right now.
You know what? I tell you, to wrap it up, I simply think that this is just a movie that they wanted it to be probably a little more mature. And when I say mature, not so much in themes, but just so much in development and growth. I think they were trying to tackle some themes that they really hadn't done before. And I think they suffered, because not only did it become overcome by the humor in it, but the humor that's more slapstick than funny. That emotion, I agree with you, Cyrus, came in but it came at the end for me. That tension and that bonding and that emotion that I wanted from it, that's in the last 10 minutes of the movie, 15 if I want to be generous. But it's a gorgeous film, and I if nothing else, it's interesting to see Pixar grow visually, even if they are starting to take steps back in the storytelling. And I hope this movie does all right. It's a $210 million movie.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Jesus
and here's
wow,
something.
they are fucked.
Yeah, I don't know if they are. I mean, they got that Pixar name, and sometimes
These
they can
things
make it back.
Shit, man. Battleship made its money back before it even opened in America. Come on, man.
Cars 2.
No, I'm hoping that this does well. It's just that's another thing. You can see technically where it went, but I just don't think that money went to anything completely visually interesting throughout the whole film.
Hair technology.
What's that?
Hair technology.
Hair tech, man. That hair cost $100 million alone.
I bet you it did.
You know what I'm saying?
Tangled, eat your heart out.
Yeah, shit. They should put that bitch on some Pearl commercials or something. But that's
She's gonna be the new Vidal Sassoon girl.
Yeah. Why'd I do that? Why'd I call her a bitch? I don't. You guys would be calling her a bitch. No, see, you're wearing off on me, man. Look at this.
No, it ain't us.
I didn't say nothing.
But it's not. It's still an enjoyable film, just not up to par with being great. So it's a matinee.
Tangled. That was the other movie that I kept thinking, like, there were times that kept making me think of Tangled. I was like, damn, I wish it was as good as that. or as funny as Tangled was.
Oh, and can I say something real quick? That they glossed over the story of that witch pretty fast.
Yes.
I mean,
I would have liked to seen the witch come back.
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
that was a truly, truly interesting character, and they did nothing with her.
That was
and that was one of the problems indicative of this whole movie that just kept bugging me. The thing is, except for Cars 2, all the other Pixar movies, I like them in different degrees, but to that point where like I know I'm going to watch these again, and I have. Some of them that I thought were just okay, I still bought them and watched them several times. And this is one where, haven't seen it tonight, I don't feel like I would really sit down and watch it again. It was a big disappointment for me because I was really looking forward to it, and I hate for that to factor in. But just sitting there watching, I was like, man, I'm just not interested. And I would give it a low matinee because I'm like, look, it's young kids are going to come in and like it, and everybody will. But just rating for myself, it's just a high rental.
Okay.
This is definitely not a typical Pixar film in any sense of the word. I'll hand you that for sure. And it is more like the high-end Disney films in some ways, but it also is so visually gorgeous that it counts among the best of them in that context. I thought the what they do with their animation, I mean, it's just beautiful at points. Took my breath away. Shit, I want to go to Scotland now, like the commercial they had forcing parents to have to deal with their little kids after the movie. Yeah, hey, can we go on the trip to Scotland with the Pixar?
I thought they fucked up because they like, look, here's beautiful Scotland. Here's some scenes from the movie. And I was like, wait, those scenes from the movie look a lot better than the real Scotland.
And that's the thing.
Well, you got to drink single malt scotch to see it that way.
I'm gonna let you finish, man. But I just dancing like Kanye West. But you did bring up something interesting. Boy, Disney would sell that shit out of anything. Like,
yeah, they will.
Like at the beginning of the commercial, did Disney buy Scotland? Because
they probably have a Scotland vacation package.
Because at the beginning of the movie, they are selling people. They are telling them buy a package to go to Scotland. Hey, if you love Brave, you can buy a vacation package to go there and live it yourself.
That's the dark future. That's ahead of us. That's a dystopia. We'll be in Disney's Austin before too much longer.
I would love
the
to
world's
see
a giant Epcot center.
I would love to see Disney's version of Chernobyl. I mean, I really would.
Happy friendly mutants.
You're gonna come out with mutated ears after a while. Ears look like you're gonna come out look like a mouse.
Yeah, Mickey Mouse with two snouts.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I will say that I would have liked if this movie was funnier. For sure. I mean, there are points where there were jokes seem like, why aren't you playing with them more? Like, why aren't you doing more with the dad? The dad's funny as hell. I love him in this movie, which is, who'd you say?
Billy Connolly.
I almost said Billy Corrigan. I was like, yeah, that probably wouldn't be so funny.
I don't think so.
That's not a real funny guy. But I thought he was hysterical, and I wanted to see more with him. But ultimately, they did want to. I mean, they were banking a lot on selling this movie to female audiences. I mean, they're really marketing it that way. And sure enough, that's who this film is for.
Chicks with arrows are all the rage this year.
Yeah, you better watch out.
Cat. Yeah, of course.
I was going to
Hunger
say,
Games.
Hawkeye.
I'm not the one who's going to be getting an arrow in the butt next Spill.com. I'm a pissed off fan. But yeah, like more than not, I really enjoyed this. And I thought at the end, I was actually genuinely moved by it. I liked its message a lot. It worked for me more than it didn't. It could have been a lot better, but I'm still going to give it a low full price.
Yeah, I mean, I was almost there with some old bullshit, but the thing is, it looks pretty. That's all I'm giving it, and and with that, I have to give it a rental. I thought this was just kind of like, this was just lazy to me. It really felt generic in every sense, because the guy that you loved, I was like, didn't this guy already play this fucking character?
In How to Train Your Dragon.
Yes, yeah. I was like,
him and Craig Ferguson. They play pretty much the same characters.
And they let him play the same fucking character over again. Okay, geez. Because, I mean, I that's how I felt with this movie. It's like, yeah, you are right. I didn't even think about that until you said it, Leon, where you just felt like little bits and pieces you've seen before. And until you said that, I was like, no, you're absolutely right. Maybe that's why I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't feel it was an inspiring movie. I didn't get really anything in it. I didn't even get the heart of it. I didn't get the heart of the relationship between the mother and daughter. And I think that's the biggest problem with it for me, especially it being a Pixar movie. I mean, Pixar has raised the bar time and time again, and sometimes they really fucking lowered it, like Cars 2. But, usually, I mean, with their movies, I have expectations, and I should, because you know what? They do great work. This was something they should have sent this shit straight to video, honestly. I mean, because that's how it kind of felt. The story felt like a straight to video animated feature, and I just did not care. I can't imagine any any mother out there wanting to dress up their daughter like fucking this brave chick so they can get spiked at some point because, oh, I'm the bitch here. You know, it's like my dog. Hey, you have all kinds of rights and therefore do whatever the fuck you want to me. Yeah. Spike my drink. Take me to a party. You know, hey, yeah, but I'm open game. But yeah, I don't know. I just did, you know, the biggest problem, I just didn't care. I didn't care about anything going on in this movie. So yeah, it's a rental because it's pretty. She has beautiful hair. How can I resist?
Of course. And you two are threatened by strong females. That's cool.
Say, right? Get in touch with your inner female here, ladies. What's the problem?
No,
Nobody's gonna judge. Nobody's gonna judge.
I have a different way of getting in touch with
I was
females.
gonna say, and then let me touch your inner female.
Careful what you wish for, my mother would say.
What's the worst that could happen? No more fighting! Show a little decorum! Feast your eyes!
If you had the chance to change your fate, would you?